This morning we're talking about Long Bright River, a newly released novel by Liz Moore set in a Philadelphia suburb in the grips of the opioid epidemic. And even though the book is nearly 500 pages, our book club members found it to be a very quick read.
And I'll say I read till midnight, multiple nights. I could not put it down. And I loved like what you were saying, how the chapters were maybe just a page or something. I was like, ooh, I get another chapter, fit a few more in. So anyways, it was a really fun, good, and tragic read, but it kept me hooked. I read it like a few days.
We met at the First Draft Book Bar over at Changing Hands Bookstore, and April and Gina joining the ladies who were all captivated by the story of a police officer named Mickey patrolling the streets where her sister Casey worked, an addict who disappears during a time when fellow prostitutes are being found dead. Ultimately, it's a story of women struggling to define sisterhood, motherhood, and find their own place in the world.
But I'm very forgiving of her, having been a single mom of 3. And so I take a look at maybe some mistakes that she made that I'm sure I made my share. So I look at her as, my gosh, she's doing the best she can.
We all have to have an example, and for a smart girl, she made some really dumb decisions.
I think she tried to be Casey's mom. She had to be from early on. And I think that kind of carried into their adulthood because she was constantly worried and looking out for her just from because that's what all she knew.
No one really shook her grandmother and was like, they need your attention. So the fact that this other person who she didn't trust from the beginning and thought she was super nosy and weird,
right,
was this person to really come into her life and say, honestly, you're doing things wrong here.
Yeah. To save the day, kind of.
Yeah, just to have to be.
I loved the read, but it was a tragic read in so many, many ways.
When you're in that situation as a young girl, no matter what your background, if you have a great family or not a great family, you have an older gentleman that's very charismatic, you're falling into that if you don't have that self-worth about you. So that absolutely, I totally understood that.
Much to unpack in this book. So now is the perfect time to join our club as we move on to the next, which is 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and you can buy it at a discount at both Changing Hands locations. So Gina,
yes,
almost 500 pages. You read it in a week.
Let me tell you, I'm not a reader, and it was so when it rained a couple of weekends ago. Yeah, I literally went through the whole thing in 2 days. So it's a great book. I really think too. We talked about the police aspect of it. I think it's a book for not just women, but I think men would really enjoy it too.
My husband read it really quickly and loved it, and so there's a lot to think about, and just how drugs have ripped apart communities, and what would happen to your own family. You really disintegrate. So
and by the way,
thank you so much for being
when
here.
you have that book club, should people assume they're going to get on TV and be interviewed?
You never know.
You never know. That's the exciting part.
We'll be right back.